the Leadership Notes brought to you by Karoo, the home of influential leadership. Note number 3 of 2025 is part 3 in a series on making decisions, resolutions, stick. In this note, we get to grips with understanding the nature of a decision and what makes a smart decision. After all, we first want to make smart decisions, then make them stick. Let's get going. Decisions, decisions, decisions. You and I make decisions all the time, from routine matters that shift lives at the margin, to the extraordinary ones that shape our and others' life paths. Every decision we make, whether routine or extraordinary, has consequences, either making our lives better or worse. Evidence suggests that while humans make decisions all the time, it is not easy to make smart ones or to make them stick. What we aim at, as influential leaders, is to secure the best outcomes for our and others' lives, which firstly, requires smart decisions that we then make stick. Let's recap. Our 2 previous notes began to explore how we make decisions stick. We set up the importance of having strategic intent and then followed that up with the power of taking the first, small, step towards the end goal. In this note, we examine the essence of a smart decision by nailing down 2 associated words, namely, decision, a noun, and, to decide, a verb. To warm up our thinking, let us start with a dictionary variety for each term and then move on to a more comprehensive one that covers both noun and verb. A decision is an authoritative determination or resolution made after the consideration of facts. Note the 4 key elements. 1. The resolution holds authority, it is assured, credible and decisive, because of a credible and robust process. 2. The decision happens at the conclusion, after, of a credible process of consideration. 3. The decision-making process involves critical thinking, consideration. 4. The basis of the thinking are facts, evidence, not the toss of a coin or the mumblings of an oracle. To decide is the process that leads to a decision. The process is critical to the result, which is the decision. Let us think through the process. To decide means to choose something, such as a particular course of action, or whether to believe something or someone, after thinking carefully about several possibilities based on associated evidence. Once again, there are 4 key elements to the verb. To decide is 1. A calculated action based on a mental process that culminates in a choice. 2. A process that requires careful thought, critical thinking. 3. Founded on thinking through evidence, facts. 4. The choice and action happen after critical thinking has weighed the evidence. Both definitions include the same for elements. In the next section, we examine a more scholarly definition of a smart decision. Since human number 1 people have inquired about the nature of a decision, just like we are. Samuel Ilan, a professor of management sciences at the University of London, tussled with the question 2 in his article, What is a decision? He offers us the following definition from Harold of Stad, professor of applied philosophy at Stockholm University. To say that a person has made a decision may mean 1. That he has started a series of behavioral reactions in favor of something, or it may mean 2. That he has made up his mind to do a certain action, which he has no doubts that he ought to do. But perhaps the most common use of the term is this, to make a decision a means 3. To make a judgment regarding what one ought to do in a certain situation after having deliberated on some alternative courses of action. Let us focus on Ofstad's 3rd offering, repeated here. To make a decision means to make a judgment regarding what one ought to do in a certain situation after having deliberated on some alternative courses of action. There are 5 essential elements in Ofstad's definition. 1. There is a situation, a question, an opportunity, an end goal that stimulates the necessity of a decision. In other words, a decision arises out of a situation and has a purpose, what one ought to do for some sound reason. 2. A process of deliberation must happen, which involves pondering, thought, and I fancy this way of putting it, brainwork, applied to alternatives. 3. Judgment must be applied, that includes insight, logic, reason and thoughtfulness. 4. A course of action is arrived at that a person ought to pursue, based on the judgment. 5. Choosing, amongst alternatives, then acting, after deliberating. Even the dictionary definitions serve us well as they reinforce each other. Hofstade's version goes somewhat further by including the important element of an end goal. In other words, we make decisions for some purpose. This fits the influential leadership context perfectly because it talks to the purpose of leadership, which is for the betterment of our and others' lives. Let us evaluate this foundational principle. Does anyone purposefully make decisions for their lives to be worse off? No, of course not. But it is also clear that people make decisions detrimental to their and others' lives all the time. To conclude, we want our resolutions and decisions to stick, but we must start with smart decisions. If your resolutions and decisions follow the proper process and contain the key ingredients, they will be smart and worth sticking to. If you discover you have made a poor decision, dump it at once, review, revise, make a smart one, then get going. The influential leadership system empowers people to make smart decisions and make them stick for better lives.